So today we will be learning about the poem The Cold Within, written by James Patrick Kinney. This poem reflects on human relations in the world, how humans behave with their fellow humans. Let me give you a gist of what the poem is about. So six people are trapped outside in cold weather, and all of them possess a stick of wood. They can all decide to utilize their sticks of wood to warm themselves and the people around them, but no one does that. Everyone thinks and everyone has hatred or personal differences against the other people, and in the end, no one decides to use their sticks of wood, and all of them perish in the cold weather. So let's get into the poem. The cold within. Six humans trapped by happenstance in dark and bitter cold. Each possessed a stick of wood, or so the story is told. So here happenstance means by chance. Uh, Dark is unpleasant, so six humans are trapped by chance in a unpleasant and bitter cold. Each possessed a stick of wood. Each one has a stick of wood. So also the story is told. The story is about these six people who are trapped by chance in the cold. Their dying fire in need of logs, but the first one held hers back, for of the faces around the fire she noticed one was black. So one person noticed that from among the five other people, one of them was a black person. So she decides not to use her piece of wood. She discriminated against the black, or she was racist. She had hatred for the black, so she decides not to use her piece of wood. She did not want the black person to benefit from her piece of wood, so she held hers back. The next one looked across the way and saw one not of his church, and could not bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. So birch is a specific kind of wood. The second person looked across the other five and saw that one was not of the same religious community as him. Here, saw one not of his church means not belonging to the same religious community as that person. So, since one of them did not belong to the same religious community, he did not want that person to benefit from his log of wood. So, he decides not to give his piece of wood to the fire. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Tattered means torn, and he gave his coat a hitch means he pulls his clothes closer to himself because he was feeling cold. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? So, among the six people, there was a poor person, and he did not want his stick of wood to warm the rich. He considered the rich idle rich. Here, idle rich refers to the thought that the rich always feed off from the poor. They enjoy the labors of the poor while not having to do the hard work themselves. So the poor person thought this, that the rich is enjoying his labors. He does not have to work hard as him. So he decides not to use his piece of wood. The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store, and keeping all that he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. Here, shiftless means ambitionless and lazy. The rich man considers the poor lazy and ambitionless. He does not think that he is going to die from the cold. He thinks of all the money and all the wealth that he has stored in the house, and that he must at all costs protect his wealth from the poor. So he does not decide to give his piece of wood too. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his side, for he saw in his stick of wood a chance to smite the white. The black man also thought about revenge. Previously, in the previous stanza, the white person decides not to give his wood to the fire because the black man will get benefited. The black man also feels wants revenge because of this behavior that the white man has given him. So And moreover, the white people have always oppressed the black in history, and in many parts of the world. So the black man also wanted to harm the white person. So he also decides not to use his piece of wood. Here spite means to harm. The black man's face bespoke, wanted, or the black man's face told of revenge. He wanted revenge. And the last man of this forlorn group, forlorn means lonely group, did nothing, did not except for gain. Not means nothing. Giving just to those who gave was how he played the game. So the last man was a greedy person, he was a selfish person. He only gave to those who gave him. So, uh, since none of the previous people decided to use their pieces of wood, he decides the same thing. He decides that he will also not use his piece of wood because none of the other people use their logs to give him warmth. So why should he use his log to give the others warmth? So giving just to those who gave was how he played the game. He only gave those who gave him. Here, forlorn group. The group consists of 6 people, but it is said forlorn because forlorn means lonely. But how can 6 people who are together be lonely? No one decides to help each other. No one has any compassion for each other. Uh, Everyone hates one or the other person, so they do not have any unity in them. So it is said forlorn group. Their sticks held tight in death's still hands was proof enough of sin. They did not die from cold without, they died from cold within. So in the last stanza, it is shown that the 6 people have all died due to the cold. Their logs are gripped tight in their cold hands. This scene that each of them have their hands held tightly across their wood, their pieces of log, is proof of human sin. Here, the sin that is referred to is a disobedience to God's commandment, that love thy neighbor as thyself, means to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So, this is a proof of the sin that they have committed. They did not help each other. They did not have any compassion for each other. Hence, they all died. They did not die from cold without. They did not die from the cold that was outside, the cold weather. They died from cold within, means they did not have any compassion, love, anything for their fellow people who are trapped and facing the same problems. Uh, if they could have taken care of the cold inside, that is, if they had compassion, if they had love, if they thought of each other, they could have used their pieces of wood, and the cold weather outside could have easily been taken care of by the fire. But no one decides to do it. Everyone perishes from the cold within. Everyone perishes due to lack of compassion. So that's it. And now I will be telling you about some themes that are reflected in the poem. Futility of discrimination. Uh, so this poem deals with the theme of futility of discrimination or hatred that humans have against each other. The poem depicts discrimination based on race, class, and religion. In the different stanzas, we see that humans have personal grudges due to distinction of race, class, and religion. This poem is narrating the story of 6 individuals who are caught together by chance in this extreme cold, yet they discriminate each other on race, class, and religion. The people in the poem are from different backgrounds and religions. Owing to their prejudices against one another, it becomes difficult for them to put their stick of wood into the fire. Discrimination, racism proves futile as none of them stay alive by the end. Each perishes not because of the cold outside, but of the cold heartedness within each. So there was no point in having discrimination or racism, no, because in the end no one was alive. If all of them had realized that they will soon die, They perhaps would not have discriminated against each other, but their hatred against each other was so strong that it bypassed their survival instincts. Lack of warmth in human relation is another such theme. The six people in the poem can be seen as representatives of the whole human race. It is said that these people are overtaken by feelings of revenge, spite, and anger to such an extent that eventually these prejudices lead to their deaths. The six humans are devoid of humanity, and even when they are going through the same situation, they cannot cooperate. Warmth and compassion for each other is not seen in them. Each one of them has a log that can be put to use not only for others but also for themselves. However, their differences surpass their survival instinct. The lack of warmth is best expressed in the line, "their dying fire in need of logs." Literally, it refers to the fire that is dying and needs to be kept alive with the use of a log. Metaphorically, it can be understood as the fire of compassion in their hearts that is dying. To keep it burning, what they need is a log of wood, but they do not use it. Because everyone thinks that if I use my log of wood, the person I hate will also benefit from the fire. Thus, by the end, each one of them dies from the cold within. Outside cold could have been easily taken care of if they were not cold within. That is, if they had even a tiniest bit of compassion or love within themselves, the outside cold could have been taken care of and they would not have died. Now we have the justification of the title. The title of the poem, "The Cold Within," is symbolic of lack of warmth and compassion in human beings. Six humans are caught against their will in bleak and bitter cold, but none of them uses the wooden stick each one has due to racism, envy, arrogance, revenge, and greed. The cold is bleak and bitter because these six humans are not warm or friendly with another. The atmosphere is bleak because there is no hope for anyone to survive. They are so cold from inside they do not realize that by helping others, not helping others, they themselves will perish. They have an extent of hatred within themselves that they fail to realize that if I do not help that person, I am also not helping myself. Hence, I will perish to the cold. The black and the white, the rich and the poor, the one who is religious and the selfish person, all are guided by animosity against each other. No one thinks about each other. While the woman practices racism, the black man's face is filled with revenge. The rich considers the poor as lazy, shiftless, that is lacking any ambition and energy. The poor, on the other hand, considers the rich idle, that he is undeserving, he is unworthy of such wealth, because he does not have to work hard and he eats from the labors of the poor. One man does not put his log to use because he is intolerant of other religions, yeah, from people from other religious communities, and the selfish person does not help those from whom he does not get help from. He will not help because he will not get anything in return. It is ironical and sad that these people are sitting together in the group, yet they are forlorn, that is, they are lonely. Their cold heartedness invites death in the end, and they die with their logs held tight in their hands. Thus, the title is appropriate as they die not from the cold outside, but from the cold within. That is, due to the lack of compassion and love, they all perish in the cold.